Hey there folks, and welcome to this video. This one here is a general notice for those of you unaware of what that is. On this channel is where I start off the week by talking about things from the past, things from the present, and things looking forward. And if you look for the thing that is at the topic of this video, which is about Lewis Hamilton, you can find that in the description below. But yeah, firstly, let's have a look back. This past week ended up doing pretty well. I might be about to see a video past 20,000 views, all about the Rich Birds Rally 2020 mod. Which, that's amazing, thank you so much for that. We are well past 500 subscribers, which I didn't think would be possible. And yeah, there's the actual content. People were really liking my video talking about Colin McRae's title win, which is really nice. I've never really done something in the style of what that video is. It reminds me a lot of the kind of stuff Jimmy Broadbent does, and I've been meaning to do that kind of content for a while, but I've never really done it in that form. So it was great to have that and to see people really liking it as well. That's really lovely. In addition to that, if you look back at the broadcasts I did last week in Dirt Rally 2, the USR, I think I've picked up the rally win because I don't think Cameron counts towards championship points because he's got the win. I think that I've got the actual classification win, which that's awesome. I'm really proud of that. Got a bit lucky, I have to admit, but puts me right back in the title fight with 2 rounds left to go. In RSRBR, we finished, I think, 46th. Where did I finish 19th in the championship? Had my score counted for Turkey, I would have been on the cusp of the top 10, which is a shame. That means I need to go a bit better next season, constantly improving, constantly striving to be better, constantly striving to do better. And that's awesome as well. Looking forward, in terms of this week, for RSRBR and Dirt Rally 2.0. Dirt Rally 2.0 is the Group A's, and that is New Zealand. Which is going to be a bit tricky, but hopefully I'm going to be able to enjoy it. And now I might actually fight for another win. Because if I pick up 3, that really helps the title battle. And because of drop weeks, it means I could get rid of my Australia score there. And then in RSRBO, we've got Rally du Var. I think it's going to be the final round of the French Championship. Which that's going to be interesting as well. In addition to that, in terms of content that I'm going to be covering, we've got the Bahrain Grand Prix. Not to be confused with the Sakir Grand Prix. This is going to be actually on the regular Grand Prix circuit out at Sakir before next week. We have the Not an Oval, which that's going to be quite something. Fastest laps in F1 history, we're being told, but we were also told that record was going to fall at Istanbul Park, and it didn't. In addition to that, I'll be doing reviews and preview and talk about the end race and protest ahead of the Grand Prix. And I'll be talking about any kind of other motorsport content like that at some point throughout the week. Of course, daily videos, you can stay in the loop by hitting subscribe. But yeah, without further ado, let's go on and talk about my main talking point for this week. Lewis Hamilton, or Sir Lewis Hamilton. The tabloids have been reporting Lewis Hamilton's going to be getting a knighthood in the New Year's honours. For those of you unaware of what that means that he's going to become Sir Lewis Hamilton. And it's essentially an order given by the monarchy, so given by the Queen here in the UK, to celebrate and commemorate outstanding achievement in a field. So for Lewis, it would be motorsport. Some F1 drivers have got Sirs, famously Sir Jackie Stewart and the late Sir Stirling Moss. But others will have other smaller honours as well. Jenson Button, Lewis Hamilton already has an honour as well, Nigel Mansell. because of their achievements of becoming world champion. Lewis, being now the most successful driver in F1 history, I think, is deserving of that kind of honour. Even if he's still out there going better and better and better, I think that would be awesome. But there is a kind of point that comes from this, and Manj, who has been in my comment section for a while, a really lovely member of the community to engage with, has actually put it really well. And just as I was sitting down to make this video, I noticed the Manj had left a comment asking, is it meaningful to award a knighthood to Hamilton in this day and age? Would Hamilton accept a knighthood from the establishment that openly supported slavery and racism to build an empire? Because things like OBE, KBE, MBE are like member, order, and knight of the British Empire. And of course, Lewis Hamilton has been speaking out more and more and more against racism, against structural inequality, structural racism, systemic racism. And that is an important question. Because I could see it going one of two ways. And honestly, either way is a win-win for Lewis. Like, if he accepts it, he gets a profile of being Sir Lewis Hamilton, and he's been working with rural academies to help boost his diversity initiatives. He's got many openings there that he'd be able to explore. And I think he could bring about a lot of good change from it. At the same time, if he's offered a knighthood and rejects it, that brings a powerful statement. The Beatles famously rescinded their own honours they were given by the Queen. I think John Cleese did. Bernie Ecclestone supposedly rejected a knighthood. There's all these kinds of reasons for tribes to reject them. There's, I think, the big thing could be the British Empire. The fact that it is an award of the British Empire. And yeah, I don't think it undermines Lewis at all to do it. I think if you have a look at how many people decided the big thing they were looking on with Lewis was taxes, when records are showing that he's in the top 5,000 taxpayers in the country, and at the same time, Sir Jackie Stewart lives in Switzerland quite famously. Gary Barlow, take that. They weren't living somewhere else to pay less tax. They were actively avoiding tax. Take that, got fined. Like, into 6, 7, 8 digits of fines for not paying their tax. Gary Barlow stars on it, doesn't he? Sean Connery, for example, the late Sean Connery, he lived in Barbados. Got Richard Branson. There are so many people with these honours who don't live in the UK, often for tax reasons. A lot of them still pay their tax to the country. Some of them don't. And Lewis is one of them who does, so whilst he doesn't pay like property tax or anything like that in the same way that somebody who resides in the country does, don't use that to undermine him. Because you probably don't realise why you're doing it, but if you're solely critical of Lewis and you're not critical of the likes of Gary Barlow, Jackie Stewart, you need to ask why. And it's a hard kind of reality to face, because for a lot of people, they like to think that they aren't part of the problem. But you have to understand that part of helping to deal with that problem is recognizing your own shortcomings. I think in the first video I did about drivers kneeling ahead of a Grand Prix, I had a bunch of people saying that I was calling them racist, and I never called somebody racist. For supporting those drivers. I never did. I said you've got to question why you're doing that. The fact of the matter is, in regards to something like that, drivers that are accused of racism, the likes of Carlos Sainz and Max Verstappen, still wear a shirt that say "End Racism" on it. Still wear the shirts that say "End Racism" on it, and that's because it's a palatable thing. Like, maybe they don't believe that they themselves are racists. They don't want to be held accountable for those actions, but part of challenging racism is recognizing your own shortcomings. I've done that in videos in the past. I've said all manners of things that could be construed as offensive. But I recognise I've done that. Those videos are still up because you got to recognise that people need to learn from that kind of stuff. Like, that's one of the things you really need to try and learn about. And it's okay to not be the best. Just try to be the best you can be. Made mistakes in the past. You just admit your own shortcomings. Try to make up for what you've done and go forward. And I think that's one of the main things. Like, I see so many people going, "Oh, this. So but you can't call me a racist because I'm not a racist because I don't identify as that." But if you're actively talking down Lewis Hamilton, but you're not likes of Jackie Stewart, John Cleese, Barry Barlow, Richard Branson, Sean Connery, you need to ask why. Why just Lewis? But yeah, Sir Lewis Hamilton. He deserves it. He deserves that kind of recognition, and do I think he's going to accept it or not? I don't know. But respect to him if he does, and respect to him if he doesn't. Because both of those will really help a platform. It just depends on whether he wants to work to do some change from within or wants to challenge the whole system. And the way Lewis has operated for a long time, and he gave an inkling of this ethos when he was asked about the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix, is that he's the kind of guy who likes to work from within. He said to the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix something like, "I want F1 to leave a positive impact," and that's a very, very liberal ideal, and I respect him for it. I disagree with him on it, but I respect him for it. I think that a lot of governments with their Grand Prix use it as a kind of sales tool, as a kind of neoliberal sales tool. They're not going to actually change their regime. What they'll do is try and sell their regime as part of a tourist package. But good on them to try. And I think it'll be similarly again with these honours. If he is invited to become Sir Lewis Hamilton, he'll take it. And he'll use that influence to try and do better by the world. And honestly, I think that's pretty awesome. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye-bye for now.